Dr. Eris Thorne, a name whispered with a mixture of reverence and ridicule in the hallowed halls of theoretical physics, wasn't known for his steady hand. His brilliance was undeniable, a chaotic storm of ideas that often left his lab in disarray. He was a visionary, obsessed with proving the existence of parallel universes, a concept deemed pseudoscience by most of his peers. Years of grant rejections and mocking laughter had only fueled his determination, pushing him to work tirelessly in his secluded, underfunded research facility nestled deep in the Appalachian. After countless failed attempts, Eris believed he was on the verge of a breakthrough. His homemade particle accelerator, affectionately nicknamed the Behemoth, hummed with barely contained energy, its wires sparking like miniature lightning bolts. Eris, fueled by lukewarm coffee and sheer willpower, adjusted the final calibrations, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Just a little more power, almost there," he muttered, his fingers dancing across the control panel. He pushed the lever, and the room flooded with a blinding white light. A high-pitched whine filled the air, building to an unbearable crescendo. Suddenly, with a deafening crack, a shimmering, iridescent portal ripped open in the center of the room. Eris stared, dumbstruck. His wildest dreams had come true, yet a primal fear gripped him. The portal pulsed with an alien energy, swirling colors he couldn't name, impossible geometries that defied human understanding. He took a tentative step forward, mesmerized by the swirling vortex. "Impossible," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the lingering hum of the machine. Before he could react, he was yanked forward, the portal swallowing him whole. He landed hard, the breath knocked out of him. Disoriented, he blinked, trying to make sense of his surroundings. He was in a vast cavern, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something metallic and faintly ozone-like. Bioluminescent fungi clung to the walls, casting an eerie, ethereal glow. The ground beneath him was uneven, littered with loose rocks and strange, crystalline formations. The portal, now a faint shimmering disk, hung precariously above him. The silence was broken only by the drip, drip, drip of water. He quickly realized he wasn't alone. Skittering sounds echoed through the cavern, and shadows danced in the periphery of his vision. He fumbled for the flashlight in his pocket, his heart pounding in his chest. He switched it on, its beam cutting through the darkness. He saw them then, beings unlike anything he could have imagined. They were humanoid in shape, but their skin was a chitinous black, their eyes glowing with malevolent red light. They carried crude weapons fashioned from sharpened bone and obsidian. They snarled, a guttural sound that sent shivers down Eris's spine. They lunged, their movements impossibly fast. Eris scrambled back, his scientific curiosity replaced by pure, unadulterated terror. He had stumbled into something far beyond his comprehension, something dangerous and hostile. He turned and ran, deeper into the labyrinthine cave system, the creatures hot on his heels. He ran for what felt like hours, the caves twisting and turning, each passage looking identical to the last. He collapsed behind a large rock formation, gasping for breath. He knew he couldn't keep running forever. As he caught his breath, he noticed something glinting in the dim light. He crawled closer and saw it was a piece of metal, intricately carved with symbols he didn't recognize. It was clearly not of human origin. As he touched it, a wave of energy surged through him, and images flooded his mind. Cities of crystal, flying machines powered by unknown energies, and beings of immense power. He realized this wasn't just another planet. Suddenly, he heard the creatures approaching. They were closing in? He had to find a way out, or he was doomed. He continued deeper into the cave, using the strange metal artifact as a guide. It seemed to resonate with the energy of the dimension, leading him towards something. He didn't know what. Eventually, he reached a vast chamber. In the center of the chamber stood a massive structure, a towering obelisk of obsidian, pulsing with an inner light. The creatures were waiting for him, surrounding the obelisk, their eyes burning with hatred. He was trapped. He closed his eyes, bracing himself for the inevitable. But then, something unexpected happened. The obelisk began to glow brighter, bathing the chamber in an ethereal light. The creatures recoiled, hissing in pain. The metal artifact in Eris's hand vibrated intensely. A voice echoed in his mind, ancient and powerful. He is the key. The creatures, momentarily stunned, hesitated. Eris, bewildered, opened his eyes. He didn't understand what was happening, but he knew he had to act. He touched the obelisk, and a surge of energy coursed through him. He saw the interconnectedness of all things, the flow of energy that bound the dimension together. He realized the creatures weren't just hunting him. They were afraid of him. They sensed the potential within him, the power to disrupt their reign of terror. He focused his will, channeling the energy of the obelisk. He felt a surge of power, and he unleashed it. A wave of pure energy emanated from him, pushing the creatures back, shattering their weapons. The obelisk continued to glow, and a portal opened, leading to another place. He stepped through the portal, leaving the creatures behind. He found himself in a lush green forest, the air filled with the sound of birdsong. The sky was a vibrant blue, and the sun shone warmly on his face. He had escaped, but he knew his journey was far from over. He was now a fugitive, hunted by powerful forces, and he carried a secret that could change the fate of this dimension. He wandered through the forest, eventually stumbling upon a small village. The villagers were wary of him at first, but his kindness and intelligence soon won them over. He discovered that this dimension was called Aethelgard, and it was ruled by a tyrannical emperor who sought to control all magic. The villagers told him of a prophecy of a starborn who would come from another world and overthrow the emperor. Eris initially dismissed it as folklore, but as he learned more about the emperor's cruelty and the suffering of the people, he began to wonder if he was the starborn of the prophecy. He decided to help the villagers, using his scientific knowledge to improve their lives. He also learned more about the magic of Aethelgard, discovering that it was based on manipulating the fundamental energies of the universe, just like his science. He began to experiment, combining his scientific knowledge with the magical principles of Aethelgard. He discovered that he had a natural aptitude for magic, his scientific mind allowing him to understand and manipulate it in ways that others could not. As his powers grew, so did his influence. He became a leader, a symbol of hope for the oppressed people of Aethelgard. The emperor learned of the Starborn, who was defying his rule, and sent his most powerful sorcerers to capture him. Eris knew he couldn't hide forever. He had to confront the emperor and end his reign of terror. He rallied the villagers and led them on a march to the capital city, a city of towering spires and dark magic. The emperor's army met them outside the city gates. A fierce battle ensued, magic clashing with steel. Eris fought bravely, wielding his newfound powers, protecting his people. He faced the emperor in single combat. He was a Starborn, a conduit of immense power. He fought with courage and skill, combining his scientific knowledge with the magic of Aethelgard. In the end, he defeated the emperor, shattering his power and freeing the people of Aethelgard. He became a hero, a legend. He used his knowledge and power to rebuild Aethelgard, creating a society based on equality and justice. He taught the people to respect both science and magic, showing them that they were not opposing forces, but two sides of the same coin. He never forgot his family, his friends, his colleagues. He longed to return, to share his knowledge and experiences with the world. He spent years studying the portal technology of Aethelgard, searching for a way to open a stable portal back to his own dimension. Finally, after many years of research, he succeeded. He opened a portal back to his lab, the same lab where it all began. He stepped through, finding everything exactly as he had left it. The behemoth was still humming, the portal still shimmering. He was overwhelmed with emotion, relief, joy, and sadness. He decided not to reveal his experiences to the world. He knew that no one would believe him, and he didn't want to risk the safety of Aethelgard. Instead, he used his newfound knowledge to advance science in his own world, making discoveries that revolutionized medicine, energy, and technology. He lived a long and fulfilling life, always remembering his time in Aethelgard, always cherishing the lessons he had learned. And sometimes, when he looked up at the stars, he wondered if the people of Aethelgard were looking back at him, remembering the Starborn who had saved their world. Disbelieving at first, she starts to replicate his experiments, driven by the same thirst for knowledge and discovery that once consumed Eris. As she gets closer to opening her own portal, she grapples with the ethical implications of her actions, knowing the immense responsibility that comes with such power. The story ends with her standing before her own shimmering portal, ready to make a choice that will determine not only her fate but potentially the fate of two worlds, echoing the same decision Eris faced so many years ago, leaving the audience on a cliffhanger, wondering